Welcome to the Law Firm Marketing Minute, your source of internet marketing inspiration.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Law Firm Marketing Minute. I'm your host, John Henson. And this week, I wanted to kind of continue the discussion that we had last Monday, just around, mindset for marketing and stuff like that. And one of the big things that I wanted to talk about this week was kind of the pace and the expectations around marketing. Because I think, a lot of us, especially just, outside of our professional lives, just in day-to-day life, we've been more and more conditioned for instant gratification. We can get anything we want pretty instantly. We can have food delivered within 30 minutes from literally any restaurant nowadays. Can look online and just get any piece of information that you've been wanting to learn about or have a question about, just so much at our fingertips instantly. And we've just been conditioned to kind of expect that in the rest of our lives. If we can find a faster way to do something, we're probably going to try to do it. And that has bled over into marketing. And there are certain things that you can do that can get pretty quick results. The problem, though, with marketing is that it is very momentum focused. And what I mean by that is the best results are going to be the product of, really positive momentum. You can run a marketing campaign, get a bunch of results real quick, but it's likely not very sustainable, right? And so when you live in a world that often conditions people to want things very quickly, you can't help but expect the same thing and take the same approach to your marketing strategy. And I have not yet seen a scenario in which that really works. Unfortunately, I would love for that to work. It would make all of our jobs so much easier, but it doesn't. And that's where I see a lot of law firms get really tripped up, because lawyers will, you'll try to do everything on your own first, especially if you're just starting out, you're a solo, you're a small firm. You'll want to try to do everything yourself. And you might be able to do marketing yourself, whether you have some technical experience with it, or maybe you just get lucky with something, whatever the case is. And you'll get a bunch of leads, you'll get a bunch of signed clients, and you'll get really busy. And then you will stop doing things because there just aren't enough hours in the day. And what we've seen is usually the first thing that stops is the marketing. And another way to look at this is just the current economic climate. There's all these fears of a pending recession. And, unfortunately, while we saw more and more people when the pandemic started go out, open their own firm. Unfortunately, what we saw a lot of just across the board, in 21 and 22 were a lot of other firms that had to close down for one reason or another. And so part of it, and I won't say that it's the case for every single situation, but part of it was a lack of a good marketing strategy. But back to the point that I was making, you get a bunch of leads, you get super busy. One of the first things that often goes by the wayside is marketing, because you kind of fall into that kind of false sense of security where it's like, I don't need to market right now because I don't need to. I've got more business than I can handle. I've heard that a million times. And you drop it. You think, well, I can save some money. I don't need it right now, and we'll just get through these cases. But then what happens when you're done with all of that casework? You don't have anything else left to do. And now, even though you might be sitting on a lot of revenue and a lot of, expendable money, you don't have anything coming in. And that little bit of panic sets in where, where's the next case going to come from? Where's my next client going to come from? And so you throw a bunch of money at marketing and it doesn't really produce a lot of quick results. And that's just kind of the problem, right? That's why we are so, that's why we're such big supporters of having a consistent strategy in place, because that momentum that you keep creating is what's going to help sustain you. And rather than having like giant peaks and valleys, you're going to kind of level everything out so that you have consistent cases coming in, you have consistent clients that you're working with, and you're worrying less about where your next client's going to come from. And that's where this sort of tug of war comes into place, because like I said, we're all conditioned to want things instantly and expect things quickly. And with marketing, good marketing that's going to produce consistent results, it takes a little while for that to build up, right? When you're just starting out, you cannot realistically expect a good marketing strategy to produce great results immediately, right? Because you're going out and you are reaching an audience who inherently does not trust you, just because the legal industry has just kind of a bad reputation, unfortunately. And you have to be able to warm that audience up before they begin to trust you and before they can really feel confident that you're the person that they need to work with. And that takes time. That could take anywhere from 2 to 6 months, depending on how much you're putting out, how consistently you're doing it. But what I can tell you and what we have seen is that the best marketing is that buildup, and it's that sustained consistency that really, really does produce good results. So 2 things that you should absolutely not be doing. One is stopping and starting your marketing, regardless of the economic climate. And I'm not just saying this because we're a marketing company, but like your marketing, it should be like one of the last things that you ever decide to drop, like in anything, right? Delegate it before you drop it. Right. We talk a lot about just how much time delegating things frees up. And you delegate your marketing, you outsource it, you pay for someone else to handle it for you. You now have free time to handle more casework. So the revenue and the expense takes care of itself, especially if the people you outsource it to do a good job for you. But you can't stop your marketing. But you also can't just do it kind of sporadically either, because that does just as much as stopping it completely, right? Because people don't really keep in touch with you. You aren't consistently keeping in touch with people. So when you pop up every 4 to 6 months, people have to kind of work to try to remind themselves, like, how do I even know this person, this law firm to begin with? And they're not going to take the time to do that. We have all so much other stuff going on a daily basis. Like, if you're not consistently staying in touch, people are not going to take the time to try to re-ingrain themselves into your content circle when they can't even remember who you are to begin with. Right. So that's why it's all about consistency and creating a consistent routine of touch points with emails, social media, stuff like that. And doing so in a way where you're putting out content that positions you as the expert. And that's all we preach. That's why we do what we do. And it's why we think it's one of the best ways to market. We still talk a lot about how most marketing companies, their standard practice is just going to push you towards SEO and paid ads. And look, and while there's a place for that in a marketing strategy, it shouldn't be where you start. It shouldn't be where you spend all of your marketing money. You should be starting with a foundation of keeping in touch with people and having a content library, blogs, videos, podcasts, where you are building up your credibility, you're sharing your expertise. And then from there, once you have once you can build up and you can kind of start competing with some of those bigger firms, that's when you put in the SEO. That's when you can really start to dominate and with the paid ads and the search engines and all of that. But it shouldn't be where you start. It shouldn't be where you make your initial investments by far. And if you did do that, what you will find is that if you have a foundation where you are making consistent touch points, you'll find that the other stuff starts to convert better. We've seen it happen so many times. It's unbelievable. And so that's what I want to remind you of this week. And just keep in mind that your marketing is what's going to help your firm sustain its momentum on an upward trajectory if you're talking about growth. So don't stop your marketing. Don't do your marketing inconsistently. It's a slow build, but it's like a big train, like a big freight train out in the desert. Like once it gets up to speed, it's going to be real hard to slow it down, but it takes some time to get up to that velocity. So it's patience, which I know very few people have these days, but it's really going to be the way, the method that produces the best results. All right. Hope that was helpful. As always, continue to rate, review the show as you see it. Also be sure you're checking out Center Stage every Wednesday. Lots of good interviews going on up there. We're actually kind of getting close to 100 episodes. We will have episode 100 before the end of the year. It's going to be great. Kind of a big accomplishment. I know we're, over 300 episodes in here on Law Firm Marketing Minutes. So it seems, not as special, but I think it's still going to be a big deal. And so we'll have fun with that. But other than that, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us. Please visit lawfirmmarketingminute.com for more information. We'll see you next time.